Hi everyone, as promised, here is our Make It With Me Monday for February 20th. I'm glad you've joined me here. Not exactly live, I'm still on vacation, but I didn't want to skip a Monday of you guys being able to get a little card making done. So let me start out with what we're going to be working with tonight. So you should have a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. Mine's going to be Blushing Bride. Then you need a piece of cardstock that is 3.75 by 5. Mine is Old Olive. And then you need 2 pieces of designer series paper that you're going to use horizontally that are, I have 1/2 by 3. I'm sorry, 3, not 2. Let me correct that right on camera here. 3 of each of these, sorry. 3 pieces that are 1/2 by 3 and 3 pieces that are 1/2 by 3.5. Now you can decide if you want these to be all the same or if you want them to be 2 different patterns that you're going to coordinate together. That is completely up to you. And then you need a neutral piece that is about 1.25 by 2. And then you're going to want some kind of phrase to fit that. And then as well, we are going to use, sorry, I realized I left my adhesive again on the other side of the table, as usual. Then what you're going to want to have too is some kind of thin ribbon or twine. I'm going to be using some basic white twine that can be found in the essentials pack of Baker's Twine. Okay, my DSP tonight comes from Dainty Flowers, which is part of the Celebration collection, and that goes along, coordinates, I should say, with the Dainty Delight bundle, which is in the mini catalog. So my phrase tonight comes from Dainty Delight, and then I'm using some of the designer series paper that coordinates with that you can find in the Celebration catalog that runs through the end of February, don't forget. And you have the chance there to earn some free items with a $50 or a $100 order. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab that neutral piece. Let's go ahead and make your phrase. Again, I'm going to be using Blushing Bride to match my cardstock base. I'm going to be using the phrase that says Celebrate You. All right, and I'm just going to put that right in the middle. And I wanted to break up a little bit of that whiteness. So I'm just going to go around the edges a little bit with my blending brush and some Blushing Bride ink on my blending brush. That is a lot of alliteration. All right, so that breaks up a little bit of that whiteness for me by doing that. Okay, set that off to the side. Go ahead and grab your piece of cardstock. That is your 3.75 by 5. And now we're going to lay on those pieces of DSP that are going to be going horizontally, the ones that you want to pick to go horizontally. Now, when we do this, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to do a little bit of weaving our paper. So when you add some adhesive, I only want you to add it to the very top and the very bottom edges of all of those. And we're going to start by placing the first one in the center. So again, just a little bit of adhesive at the bottom, a little bit of adhesive at the top. And we're going to put that in the center of our cardstock, like so. Then you're going to balance the other 2 offset from there, again, using just a little adhesive at the bottom. Oop. Seal doesn't want to go. There we go. And leave just a little bit of a space there. And then same thing for the last one, little adhesive at the bottom. And whoop, then we will go ahead and add that one over here. Okay, so that is where we are going to start. Actually, I think I'm going to give these guys, now because I just put this down, I do have the room to maneuver them a little bit. I'm going to add just a little more space, I think, between those guys. I think they were a little too close for my comfort there. Whoop. All right, there we go. All right, I think I like that a little better. Okay, so again, the ones that you are going to use horizontally, let's go ahead and grab those. Now again, they can be the exact same design as the ones you already started with. That's completely up to you. I'm using 2 different patterns from that Dainty Flowers designer series paper. Okay, so we're going to start. We're actually going to put the one in the middle first. You're going to go under the piece in the center and then to go ahead and tape that down. So you have adhesive on both of those ends. Okay. Again, a little bit there, a little bit there. And now you're going to do the opposite. So you're going to go under the first part from the right across and over the middle. And then I'm going to hold that up just so it doesn't stick itself down anywhere. And I'm going to go ahead and give that a little bit of a burr so it stays in place. And then I'm going to be able to lift this up and tuck it under without losing track of where it is. And then put that down. Okay? And then that third piece is going to go the exact same way. So it's going to go under, over, and under. So this is easier to do when you're holding on to it. So under, over, and I'm going to go ahead and put that part down right there, and then under again. Okay, and because we've used designer series paper here, it's nice and flexible. So you can see I didn't really do much. It didn't cause any issues having to do that little bit of a bend kind of a concept to get that to go through. Okay, so basically you've made, it's not exactly a hashtag because there's 3 of them, but you've made this woven pattern, and that is kind of the focal point for the background of your card. All right, so let's go ahead and take your card base. If you have something that's dark enough and you want to do oh, sorry about that. Something for the inside, remember, just grab a piece of neutral that is like 4 by 5 1/4, and you can go ahead and add that to the inside of the card for you to then either stamp or write, or both, on for any kind of inside message that you'd like. So let's go ahead and put that down on the card front. You can decide at this point if you would want that to be popped up for any reason. Go right ahead and use dimensionals. That is, of course, your choice. I'll show you some examples, a couple more examples, and some of them will have some raised up and some won't, so you can kind of see what the difference looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring back in that focal point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to add some adhesive to the back side. And I'm just going to kind of make a loop through. So you can either stick down a glue dot, run some adhesive. If you're not a big fan of the ones where they go behind like this, you can add just a simple bow, anything that you like to highlight. This will sit better, I promise, when it sits down. So I'm just going to do another loop. And then I can go ahead and, oh, you know what? That is the end of my spool. Cool. Don't have too much more to cut off then. Okay. Set that off to the side. All right, so now I just have a little bit of twine that's going to accent the back side of that for me. And I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on that. And as you can see, I had actually stamped that earlier, but then I wanted to show you how I did that with the blending brush and everything. So that is why there's already something on the back side of that. It's because I worked a little too far ahead. So one dimensional down over there. And then I'm going to grab another one for this corner. I managed to pick it right back off again. There we go. All right. And I'm going to add that right about in here. You can place this particular element down wherever you like it, wherever you think it looks good based on the size you did, the shape you did. Remember, I mentioned in the specs when I posted them, it doesn't have to be a piece that is exactly the size I said. Please go ahead and use something that works for you. And of course, you can always go to your punches and other shapes, dies, etc. To get a nice focal point for your phrase. Okay, so that is the very basic of what we've got going on. Let me show you a couple more samples. I have my boys have a personal trainer, had a personal trainer who is currently expecting twins who are a boy and a girl. So I went ahead and made this in preparation for those babies' arrival, hopefully soon. I know she's ready. So I got, this is actually from the Easter Bunny stamp set. It says, enjoy all of the little moments. And I thought that phrase was really, really appropriate for, welcoming those new babies, because of course, we have lots of little moments along, of course, with our big milestones and everything, but just those tiny little moments of having them snugged up close is one of the biggest highlights, of course, when you have little ones around. So this is the Cottage Gingham Designer Series paper. I have a piece of vellum that I use instead of an actual piece of solid cardstock. I have crumb cake as my base, and it also has my neutral. And then this is the burlap ribbon, which comes in combination with the real red as part of the Country Floral Lane collection in the mini catalog. And a couple of pastel sequins finish that off. And she knows that they are boy-girl twins, so I have a little of the traditional pink and blue thing going on. But with those ginghams, I thought those worked out really nicely together. All right, then I went to my cup of tea collection. I have this particular phrase and flower. that I got from the Cup of Tea stamp set. And then the paper here that I've used is from the Tea Boutique Designer Series paper. I have Orchid Oasis as my base. Excuse me. And what I did here is I took a piece of white that was the 3 3/4 by 5, and I used a blending brush and I did an ombre effect of Orchid Oasis ink all the way up. So a little bit darker at the bottom, and then just worked my way up. So I wanted to give that a little bit of a different background than just a solid image, because this has a little bit of light and dark to it, and I wanted to kind of play off of that. So you can see on this one I used the same Designer Series paper throughout. Then this is the Essential Tag Punch, and I just picked that one up myself. It's one I haven't actually had yet, and it's free during Celebration right now. It's one of the bonus items that they added for February, so that was kind of cool to just go ahead and pick up a free punch like that. And then I did some doodling around the edges with just my Orchid Oasis Stampin' Right marker. All right, let's bring this one in. This uses the Best Day stamp set. That's the one that has the large cake and the little cat sitting in a cupcake. You can see I picked phrases from a bunch of stamp sets that are in the mini catalog, but no images. This was all about the phrases and then letting the Designer Series papers do the work for you. Okay, so this is the rectangle postage stamp punch. Is what I used for my shape here. So you can see I did, kind of stick with a couple of them that are a rectangle shape, but then I'm starting to use my punches and my dies to get a little bit of those different shapes going. The black twine is also part of the Essentials pack that I got the white from for this card here. Did a little bit of a different design with that. And I used some black enamel dots in the background. 2 different Designer Series papers again, and this comes from the Dandy Designs, and that is another Celebration pack of paper that you guys can earn. And then I have the Splatters embossing folder from the Stripes and Splatters to get the 2 together. And I added that to that particular layer of coral before I put it on a little bit, I mounted it on black, and then again onto mango. So it gives a little differentiation between these layers. I like the elements of black that play into here, and they kind of draw out, draw a different focus, and then you can kind of focus too on some of the other imagery, makes it pop a little bit differently. So this one you can see I have popped that up. Oh, where's my camera angle? There we go. That's popped up on dimensionals as under here, and then my phrase is popped up as well. All right, let me go ahead and bring in the first one I did on camera, and then I will show you a stepped up version. Very similar in concept. I added an embossing folder here. This is Painted Posies. And then in order to, again, to differentiate a little bit between my layers, I added white as an offset color, and like similar to the black that I did over here. I used basic white here. Same thing here. I have white and the Blushing Bride, just like I did here. However, I used my double oval punch in order to offset those two, make that phrase a little show off a little bit differently. And I have the glitter organdy ribbon just done up as a bow instead of an element behind. So again, here I did a bow on this tag here. This one I have the ribbon just as an element behind, but going off this direction. And then these twines, of course, interwoven. I've used, these are also 2 still papers from the same collection. That's still Dainty Flowers. I just took, I flipped to a different one and used just the olive and the Blushing Bride. So there's a little bit less white space kind of happening on this one, and the focus is really just all about my phrase, and I think it also draws a little more attention to the embossing in the background. All right, so let me show you the inspiration sample I got from Connie Paustian. She's a fellow demonstrator up in Minnesota, and I received this from her in a swap, so same thing. She used 2 different Designer Series papers. They really are striking with that blackberry and the mint. I love that We Are Friends, I believe, still comes from that Country Floral Lane. And then she used some silver twine, similarly to how I did. I borrowed the concept here. And then she also has the double oval punch. That was a really nice way to show off that punch as well. So this is really a fun way to show off your Designer Series papers, especially little scraps. Like I said, these are only a 1/2 inch wide. So you've got a lot to work with there. Playing with color and pattern, and really just letting those phrases kind of shine through. So again, all of this will get posted. The supply list will get, not supply list, supply list of what I used to create these samples. I will have that posted when I return from vacation. So it's going to take a couple of days after you see this for that to actually show up. But that's why I tried to be pretty specific as I went through about where those came from, so that you can find them as well as you go through. So we've got Dainty Delight and Dainty Flowers. Those are both in, or the Dainty Flowers is Celebration, the Dainty Delight stamp sets in the mini catalog. The Easter Bunny is in the mini catalog. Cup of Tea is actually in the annual catalog. Best Day is in the mini catalog. And the Country Floral Lane, where that comes from, is also a mini catalog item. All right, I think that is it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed making these cards with me tonight. Like I said, they kind of go pretty quick and simple together. I know this can get a little putsy, but hopefully it was pretty easy for you to maneuver those through. And if you did have a little difficulty with the smallness of it, go ahead and play with the size. Maybe you need it to be a little wider, or maybe you only want to use 2 instead of 3, or something like that. Just play with those shapes and sizes and make it your own. All right, thanks for joining me, everybody. I will be back live with you next week. Have a good one. Bye now.